Are the Bucs done?
There's so many elements that goes into making a great football team. There really is. You know, we always talk about the physical gifts, but there's so many things, and any one of these little things goes off, then the whole team seems to be off. And we talked about that right here when Tom Brady came back off his 11-day, absence in training camp. When we saw him, and I said right here to you, Molly, I said, if Tom came out and said, let's go right now, no one would believe him. Because there's something going on inside, and I'm telling you, that has affected this team. I don't want to hear that noise that I hear people talking about, this team can't play, or this team can't do it, or this team too slow. It's the same team that won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. It's basically a lot of the same guys. We know these guys can play football. There's no question that these guys can play football. Right now, on that football team, it's something else that's missing. This team hadn't scored a first quarter touchdown all year long, right? And we're talking about maybe the offensive line. We're talking about Tom Brady. And then you get a perfect pass in the first series right there in Mike Evans' hands that could give us a brand new revelation like, okay, now we're ready to start going. We're ready to get going. And he drops that ball. What happens is when things start going bad, it starts matriculating through your whole team. And they start talking about it in the locker room. And guys' minds start saying, man, this just ain't our year. And they start believing it, and things like this start happening. This is a trickle-down effect because your quarterback is not right. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about emotionally and mentally.
Yeah.
There are other elements in this game. We're always talking about the physical prowess of people and how great they are and the physical capabilities. But the emotional and the mental element of this game is what Tampa Bay is going through right now. This is not physical. This team is good enough. These are the same players. I know Mike Evans can play. I know Chris Godwin can play. I know Tom Brady can play. But I know something wrong with them. That's why they're playing the way they're playing.
They're done. Tampa Bay is done. They, number one, are the worst run game in the NFL. And they run the ball way too much. And when you do that, you get into a lot of third down and obvious passing situations. And here's the thing, Tampa Bay, you were good at it. You were good enough talent-wise to overcome it 2 years ago. And I would disagree with you, Playmaker, that they're the same team. No, they're not. There is no Gronk. There is no AB.
Yeah,
there is no 60% of that offensive line. Because when you get into third down and obvious passing situations, if you got 5 rock stars across the offensive line and dudes on the outside making plays, you can overcome that. Tampa, you're not that anymore. There is no JPP on defense. There is no Sue on defense. This is one of the more undisciplined defenses in the NFL over the past month.
Man.
Carolina, there's no gap discipline in the way they do things. Offensively, they run the ball and think that they are somebody that they are not. And they are putting so much pressure on Brady in that passing game to be flawless, and they can't protect the same way. I have nothing in Tampa offensively that I sit there and go, they're good at this. There's nothing. The only guy that I really believe can win on the outside right now is Mike. Chris is still coming back from his injury, and there's moments that he looks like himself, but there's no one or anything that sits there and looks like they are that team that was the Super Bowl champion of 2 years or that team that was in the playoffs last year. Tampa's done.
Wait, because you say they're running the ball too much?
Too much.
But Brady's throwing the ball 40 times over five consecutive games, and then he's 1-4 in those games. So I'm saying that they're not running it effective enough.
No.
I'm talking about being effective with it because what we're putting too much pressure on Tom Brady to say, you go do it still. And his evolution, he went through evolution. Tom Brady, he didn't start out just throwing the ball around. He started out winning Super Bowls, playing great defense, running the football.
But they can't run the football.
He managed it. Right. Then he got to the place where he was winning throwing the ball. He's going to go back towards the other thing where he needs a great running game and great defense to support him, and he makes a few plays, and we're still putting it all on Tom, and I don't think Tom can carry it that way anymore.
I'm not necessarily going to say that I think we're putting it all on Tom, nor am I going to say I think they're finished yet because of Tom Brady. I'm going to think about the fact that you got 10 games left in this season, and I'm going to look at it from the standpoint, can you turn it around?
You're still
first. Because you know what? Listen, you're still first place in the NFC South. You still have an opportunity to compete for the division crown. When you say the word done, if you're saying they've got no chance. There's no way in hell we should be looking at them as a legitimate Super Bowl title contender, that they ain't going to the Super Bowl. Okay, I can buy where you're coming from with that, although I can't definitively say that. And the reason I can't definitively say that is because the playoffs is a new season. And when the playoffs be in a new season with Tom Brady at the helm, you've got a chance. But having said all of that, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Tampa Bay looks awful. On both sides of the ball. They look absolutely awful. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Tom Brady looks like a shell of himself, and I'll tell you this much. Here's what's done. Tom Brady after this season. This is it. I mean, you talk about that moment where you look and it flashes before. Correct me if I'm wrong, football players.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Both of y'all played in the NFL.
No, I agree with that.
You look at a guy, and a certain moment arrives where it's like, even if he turns things around and they look better this season, you look at him and you say, all right, bro, you did it. This should be it. It should be no more after this. Go into that television booth and collect that $375 million that you got waiting for you, because you don't need to be out here anymore. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.